Today, March 6th, 2016, we have the pleasure of being with Mr. Robert Lee Serling, who's originally from Huntington, New York, and now lives in Louisiana. Mr. Serling, I want to thank you very much for your time coming down to speak with us, and I must say it's an honor. You are the first veteran that I have of color that served in the Pacific. So we'd like to ask you a lot of questions, and if there's anything else that you'd like to add, please feel free to do so. Mr. Serling, where were you born?
Alabama.
Exactly where in Alabama? What city?
Tuskegee, Alabama.
You were born in Tuskegee.
Tuskegee, Alabama.
And that's where our famous Tuskegee Airmen came out of. Is that correct?
Institute.
Did you ever meet a Tuskegee Airman?
Yeah, George Washington.
Oh, you did. And did George Washington live in New York?
He did.
He did. Did he happen to live in St. Albans?
Yes.
Okay. I think I had the pleasure of meeting him. But I want to, again, mention that we're going to be touching on several topics, and we're going to start off with your early years growing up in Alabama. Did you go to grade school and elementary school in Alabama?
I did.
Do you remember the name of the schools that you went to, or attended, I should say?
Yes.
Could you tell me the name of your elementary school?
My elementary school was Mount Hughes. Mount Hughes.
Mount Hughes.
Yes.
And that was also located in the same town? Did you walk to school? You didn't take a bus to school, did you?
No.
Not in those days. You were born on what day?
April 12th, 1921.
Which makes you today 94. 94. God bless you, sir. I want to ask you, growing up in Alabama, did you live in a segregated town at that time?
Yes.
Okay. So you had neighbors that were white?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went to junior high school, do you remember the name of that junior high school?
I did not get a chance to go to school.
Okay.
Just grammar school.
So as far as your education level, what was the last grade you completed?
Third grade.
You went to 8th grade?
Third.
Oh, 3rd grade.
Only.
Okay. So let me ask you something. After 3rd grade, what was the reason why you didn't attend?
I didn't have no mother and father to take care of me. They all passed. I was a baby. Only my grandmother was taken care of.
So at the age of 3, your mom, and what was your mom's name?
Alberta Williams. She died when I was a baby.
And your father's name?
James, excuse me. Just a second. James Serling.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, both your parents are buried in Alabama?
Beg pardon?
Both of your parents are buried?
Yes.
They both are. That must have been a difficult childhood. At 3 years, at 3rd grade, Grandma decided that you wouldn't go to school anymore?
She passed away.
She also passed away?
Yes.
So who was left to take care of you?
We went from pillar to post, I and my brother.
Uh-huh. And how old was your brother? Was he younger?
He was a little year and a half older than me.
Okay. And how did you and your brother survive?
Living with two different white people.
And did they require anything in return for feeding you and taking care of you?
They did not.
How did they treat you?
They treated me nice.
They did. And when was the last time you were with that family?
I was with them up until I got 18.
18. And between the ages of 18 and your early teens, what were you doing? Were you working?
I was a farmer.
Uh-huh. And what kind of field did you work on?
Cotton and cornfield.
Cotton and cornfield.
Right.
And did this family, did they own the field?
Yes.
They did. And was there any time that you remember being hungry or not getting enough to eat?
No.
So they treated you real good.
Treated me nice.
They did. How long did you stay in touch with them? Did you stay in touch with them after the service?
It, up until I got out, they passed away after I got out of service.
Did you ever go back to the cemetery?
Yes, I did.
You did. We're going to talk about now Pearl Harbor. Do you remember where you were when Pearl Harbor was attacked and the news came across the radio?
I was in the civilian life then.
Uh-huh. You remember that day?
I remember it well.
Tell me about that day. What were you doing that day? Were you with your friends?
I was farming when they announced V-Day. The war had ended.
Okay. And what I want to take you back to, away from V-Day, I don't think, what we want to know is, on the day Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th, 1941, do you recall if you were working the field that day? You said you were working the field?
I was.
Okay, and the news, did you hear it on the radio? Is that where you got the news, or
I
from
got the
somebody else?
news over the radio, wasn't on television.
Right. And so what did you do at that moment? Did you feel that at the age you were when Pearl Harbor was attacked, that you were going to be drafted or you were going to enlist? Do you remember what you did?
I was so happy it had ended and I didn't have to go. I was too young.
Oh, okay. But before the war ended, before the war actually ended, let me take you back a little bit. In 1942, correct me, was that the year you volunteered for the military?
Yes.
Okay.
1942.
Okay, now, did you have a preference whether you wanted the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force?
No, I just went to the Army base. They carried us to Albany, Georgia.
Okay, so now...
Camp.
Okay, where did you sign up? Do you remember what town you were in when you signed up?
Tallahassee, Alabama.
Okay, and from that point, you had your training.
In Fort Benning, Georgia.
Fort Benning, Georgia was a big base.
That was the base.
Right. Do you remember a mountain up there? It was called Currahee Mountain?
Yes.
You do. You know that the airborne used to run up that mountain.
That's right.
Right. They were a crazy
I
bunch. Huh?
remember.
What I want to ask you is, were you aware that if you decided to go into the airborne, you would get an extra $50 a month? Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah. Did any of your friends volunteer to join the airborne once they were there?
Not as I know.
Not that you know.
No.
Tell me about the unit that you were in. The unit you were in, was it a segregated unit?
It was colored unit.
Strictly colored. And your
Right.
commanding officer?
Right, all colored.
And your CO was also colored?
Yes.
Okay. And he reported to who? You recall who he had to report to? Was it a major or a captain that he was reporting to?
Yes.
Okay. Were any of them white, or were they also colored?
It was.
Okay. In the military, okay, the way a man of color was he referred to as a black man, a colored man, a Negro? What were you referred to?
Black man.
A black man.
Right.
Okay. And when you referred to the white soldiers, were they referred to as white soldier, white man?
White soldiers.
White soldiers.
Right.
So here you are, you're in a all-black outfit. Did you have a choice of which outfit you wanted to go into, or were you pushed into a certain...
They put us in the service that I was in.
Okay. Now, what type of outfit were you in? Was it an infantry outfit?
Infantry.
Infantry. And at that time, were you designated which division or unit you were going to be in? Did you know?
No.
Okay. When did you first come into the Buffalo unit?
When I was in the Arkansas camp, they started the 92nd Division, Buffalo outfit.
Okay.
We wore the Buffalo patch.
Okay, so that 92nd Division, okay, was basically started in Arkansas.
Right.
Okay. And that division was made up of white and black units.
Right.
Okay. Now, being in the infantry, okay, did you get designated a quartermaster unit at any time?
I was only drafted to the quartermaster after I was overseas.
Okay, and you remember where you were when you were overseas?
Okinawa, Guam, Leyte, and Manila.
Okay, and what I'd like to ask you is, when you left from the West Coast to go to the Pacific, correct?
Right.
Did you sail out of California? Do you remember where you sailed out of?
I was out in California twice. The first time we went out there from Little Rock, Arkansas, I didn't go over there, came back to the state. And the second time I went to Los Angeles, that's when we went over, 1943.
So in 43 is when you first went over. Did you stop at Hawaii?
We did. We stopped in Pearl Harbor. I went over by ship.
And at that time in 43, you saw all the disaster that took place there.
1943.
You saw the Arizona on its side. You saw the ships, the way they were devastated by the Japanese.
Right.
How'd that make you feel?
I was scared I wasn't going to make it back.
And do you remember, did you spend any time in Pearl Harbor, a couple of days?
We stayed over about 3 days, able to submarines out there, taking us 32 days to go over there. They had to detour around because there were submarines there.
Uh-huh.
Taking a little over 33 days to go over.
Okay.
We landed in Guam.
You landed in Guam.
Guam.
Do you recall when you were in Pearl Harbor, did you ever go to Schofield Barracks?
We didn't get off the ship.
You never got off the ship?
Never got off the ship.
So-
They just stopped there and they viewed it and
Right.
rest.
Okay. On your ship, what type of ship brought you from Pearl Harbor to Guam? Do you remember what kind of ship you went over on?
It was a troop ship.
It was a troop
Had
ship.
only troops.
Did they have Army and Marines on the same ship?
They had the same Army and Marine.
Tell me a little bit about that ship. Do you remember the name of the ship or the numbers on the side of the ship? Anything you remember about that ship?
I remember the one we came back on, but I don't remember the name of the one we went over on.
Uh-huh. Tell me the one you came back on. What was the name of that, just so we have it for the record, if you recall?
General H. Hine.
General A.
General H. Hine.
General H. Hine.
Right.
Okay. How would you spell the last name on Hine? H-I-N-E?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hine.
Hine. And that was also a troop carrier that brought you back?
Troop ship.
Okay. So on this ship that you were on, did they segregate the black soldiers from the white soldiers on that ship?
They did not.
When you went to have your meals, okay, were you segregated at that time, or blacks and whites were mixed on the
They
ship?
were mixed.
Did you at any time encounter any kind of racial remarks or slurs because you were black? Do you
No.
recall? Nothing. So there was no kind of antagonism if you were a black or white soldier on the ship that you were on?
No.
As far as you go. So basically, everybody was there to do the same thing, fight
Yes.
for their country. And you didn't feel as though anyone at that point basically were racist.
No.
against- I have to tell you how happy I am to hear that. But being that you are the witness and you were there, the truth can only come from you. And that's the way this has to be recorded, from someone who was there and witnessed the actual facts.
Right.
So you got to Leyte Gulf. That was your first stop.
Right.
And when you got off at Leyte Gulf, okay, that had already been captured by the Americans, obviously. And how long did you stay on Leyte Gulf?
We stayed there about six weeks.
Uh-huh. And what was your function there?
Was I was driving a truck hauling stuff from the ship to the camp.
Okay, now you were in the quartermasters?
They transferred me out the infantry into the quartermaster.
Okay, and what was your rank at that time?
Private.
Do you remember your serial number?
424. No, 3455 2874.
That's good. Can we have that again?
3455 2874.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a wonderful memory. You really have a great memory.
The only thing was segregated when we were in Alabama, in the Army, in the United States. They had a certain amount of chairs in the movie for the colored. Something like 2 rows of seats. When that was filled, no more color could go in until the next movie, because all of the white had the biggest of the theater.
Now,
Only the colored had a certain amount of seats in the theater.
Now
That
you-
was in the state.
right, at that time you were already in the military.
In the military, in the camp, taking training.
Okay, now this is when you went off base, correct?
That was when we were taking basic training.
Basic training, but
Right.
the movie theater, was that a movie theater in town or on the base?
On the base.
So on the actual military base, the American
On the
mili-
Army base.
On the Army base.
Right.
You remember the name of that base?
In Mississippi.
It was in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the town in Mississippi where you were?
I was stationed on that base with the camp. I'm trying to think of it. Just a minute. It was in Arizona.
It was Arizona.
Arizona.
Okay, so on the base itself, because of the lack of enough seats in the theater, and the majority was given to the white soldier.
Right.
If
They had a certain amount of seat for color.
well, they could. Oh, they had the same amount of seats for colored as they had white.
They
or-
did not.
They did
just
not have
only
the
had
same
a
amount.
Certain
Okay.
amount for them, period.
Okay, so how did you feel about that? Here you are.
I didn't feel good. I know there was segregation back in the 40s, period.
Right.
But I didn't know they had it like on the base. It didn't allow us to go in the back or front
Right. What ab-
with the rest of them.
What about going out on leave? When you went out on leave, did you go out? Was leave granted to the black soldier the same time it was granted to the white soldier?
Yes.
Okay. And did you feel you were treated equally as far as leave time? Did everybody get equal leave time?
No,
They did not.
they did not.
And so are you saying that one of the two groups got more leave time than the other group? Is that correct?
Correct.
And what group was that got less leave time, that didn't get the same amount of leave time?
The color.
Did you ever question it? Did you ever ask the commanding officer why you, as a soldier in the same army with the white soldiers, were not being given the same amount of leave time?
Privilege, I did not.
Didn't. It was just understood, and there was nothing to argue about.
I practically knew what was going on. Wasn't no need of saying anything. I
So-
knew what was going on, so wasn't no need of saying nothing.
Let's go back to Leyte Gulf now. Let's talk about Leyte Gulf. When you were in Leyte Gulf, did you ever encounter the civilians on the island?
Yes.
You did. The Marines and the Army already finished mopping up that island, so there was no Japanese or any kind of resistance anymore when you.
The war was going on.
Right, but
We actually was fighting then.
were you were fighting on Leyte Gulf?
Yes, I was. I left there and went to Guam.
Okay. Where was the first time you remember being shot at?
In Manila.
You were in Manila.
Yeah,
Okay.
against the Japanese.
Right now, you were bringing supplies
From the ship
Ship.
to the camp.
to the camp, and in Manila, do you remember where you were in Manila specifically? Any particular port or base? The name of the base?
I don't remember the base,
Okay. Give
but
me.
I was stationed in Manila too.
Okay. So when you arrived in Manila, the Japanese were still there and they were fighting.
They was in the home with the people, and we ran them out.
Okay. So basically, they were trying to get refuge
They
with the
had
local.
taken over Manila, period.
Right. Right. So they basically were all over. Now, when was the first time somebody shot at you? Do you remember where that was?
Yeah, it was scary. All you could do is duck.
Were you in the truck at the time, or you were just on the base, or you were
I was
walking?
on the base.
You were on the base, and they were shooting into the base.
Yes,
Okay. Did you lose any friends when you were on Manila?
a bunch of them.
Bunch of them. Now, were they in the quartermasters, or were they?
They was in the quartermaster.
Okay. Now, the quartermasters were still part of the Buffalo unit.
No,
No more at that point.
no. The
Well-
quartermaster was the one that hauling stuff from the ship to the camp.
Okay. So where was the Buffalo division at that time? Do you have any idea where they went off to? The infantry, your infantry unit?
They must have went someplace else, but I was transferred out of the 92nd Division to the quartermaster.
Now, when you got transferred, there were friends of yours that obviously did not go with you, right?
Right.
Did some of those friends also lose their lives during
Yes.
the
Some
war?
of them at my home. I know well we went in together. They didn't make it back.
Tell me one of your friends, if you remember one friend or more friends, so we can record for history their names. If anybody, a grandchild, ever wants to research their grandpa or their great grandfather, at least we know their name.
They all that I know of passed away
After the war or during the war?
after the war.
Okay. Now, any of your friends that you went into the service with, were any of them killed during the war?
They got killed. Some of them that I actually knew around me got killed.
You remember the names of anyone who was killed?
No, I don't.
No. But they were your good buddies.
Yes, they
At
were.
that time, were they white? Were they black? Or they were? Could have
They
been.
were mixed.
They were mixed at that time. So in '43, you're at Leyte Gulf, correct?
Right.
Okay. From Leyte Gulf, where did you go?
Let's see, I went to 3 different places. Guam, Leyte, and left Leyte and went to Manila.
In Leyte,
We
you left.
fought in Guam. We fought in Leyte. Then we were sent to Manila. That's why we were fighting against the Jap.
Now, when you were in Manila, do you remember what year that was or what month it was?
45,
1945.
right.
Was it any particular month you can zero in on? Was it the springtime?
It was in the spring. It never got cold that period. It
Right,
was summer the year round.
right. Over there it was summer.
Summer.
I only ask you is because I'm trying to get a date line
Right.
to the point where the war ended. So here you are in Guam. Was Guam the last island you were on?
Yes. Not Manila.
Oh, Manila, excuse me. Manila was the last island that you
Right.
were on. And when you were in Manila, did you see any Japanese prisoners?
Yes.
Okay. What was the talk? How did the Americans feel? And when I say Americans, I mean all American soldiers. How
Well,
did they feel about the Japanese? What was
The
the feeling?
colored soldier was on the front line. The white soldier was on the back. We was on the front line. They was in the rear.
Why was that? Why do you think that was?
I guess they wanted us to be in the front. If the first one to get killed would be us, they would be in the back.
So
That's where it was.
if you were with the quartermasters and you were bringing supplies up to the front lines, right? Who were you bringing the supplies to?
We was hauling stuff after our battle on the battlefield.
Right.
I lost my arch in my feet and I couldn't walk. So they they found out that I was a driver before I went in the army. And they put me to drive one of the trucks hauling stuff from the ship to the camp to storage it in the warehouse.
Right.
We were hauling stuff then to the warehouse. I wasn't able to fight and run and walk. I have no arches in my feet.
Okay, so
I
you
wasn't able to walk.
right, so you were flat-footed.
Right. My
Okay.
arch dropped in my feet.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't walk.
So the supplies that you brought to the warehouses, how did they get to the front lines? Who would bring that up to the front lines?
We did.
You did. So
Yeah.
not only did you bring it to the warehouse,
We hauled it to the front
you
line.
brought it to the front lines over
Yes,
there.
sir.
And at the front lines, the soldiers that were up there, were they black and white, or just black, or just white, or
Then it was black and white.
then it was mixed, both black
Mixed.
and white? If I were to ask you your experience in the war, something that you never forgot, whether it was horrible, losing a friend, or something that happened that basically disappointed you, where you just couldn't understand why something like that could happen. Is there any memory that you have when you were on those islands, okay, and dealing with the war, that has never left your memory, that stands out more than anything else?
Yes.
Could you tell us
I
about
just
that?
wondered what I was fighting for. I didn't have no country back here to fight for, but although I was over there fighting the war, only reason I went in the war because I was in the South and wasn't treated nice. We had to go in different places and eat in the back, wasn't allowed to ride in the buses in the front. So I volunteered to go in the Army. I figured that'll give us a chance to do something for the country. We'll have a better chance to live better. Knew we wasn't fighting for no country. We didn't have no country here. But I figured I was better myself. That's why I volunteered and went in there.
Was that the same feeling many black soldiers had back then?
I hope so, because they wasn't fighting for no country back here.
Right. But
Because
you
it was segregated.
right. But you went in and you did your duty regardless. You didn't say, no, I'm not going into the Army.
I did not.
Right. But deep inside, you knew what it was like living, whether it was the South or in the middle of the country, whether it was Arkansas or anywhere else. You knew that by showing your country the value of the black soldier,
Right.
that you may come back to a whole different country that you
That's
left.
right.
And
That's why I went in.
that's a very, very noble
I
cause.
went in for that. I knew I wasn't fighting for no country back here. But I went because I wasn't living nowhere. In Alabama, it was segregated. We wasn't allowed to get in the bus, ride in the front. Wasn't allowed to go in cafes and eat. We had to go around the side to windows and get stuff through the windows. Wasn't allowed to do none of that stuff.
How did you feel you were being treated? That they tried to treat you like you were, and I don't like using this word, but dirt, like an animal. You didn't deserve to be in the same place as a white person. How did you feel? How did they make you feel?
It made me feel awful. That's why I didn't get no education. I had to work on the farm to get something to eat. Many days I went hungry. Didn't have food. I didn't have no mother and father, and that's why I went in the Army.
Right.
To better my condition. But it wasn't that good in the Army. It's about the same.
Right. That segregation existed.
It's the same thing.
Were you ever mocked by any of the white soldiers or officers? Did they ever belittle you or basically treat you not as an equal? Did you experience that also?
They never looked at us straight. They always looked sideways at the color. They never treated us as one another.
They couldn't look straight in your eyes.
Never.
Right.
Never was the same as they do now.
Right.
Nothing like it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned as they do now. Do you feel America's come a long way?
Yes, I do.
You do.
I know so.
You know, and that's your personal experience and what you've seen as a young boy growing up in Alabama to today, you feel that we've come a long way
Yes, sir.
in recognizing the importance of equality with not only black Americans, but people, Asians, or people of any religion or a place of birth. You feel America has changed.
A whole lot, 100% different when I was growing up. I met the president,
When did you meet
Johnson,
President Johnson?
in Alabama.
And what did you think of him?
I thought a lot of him. I made 50 cents bringing stuff from one car to his car, making a ramp for him. President Roosevelt couldn't walk.
Right.
They paid us 50 cents to bring stuff from this car to where he was and make a ramp for him.
You were proud to do that, weren't you?
I remember eating black flour, prunes, and stuff.
And that was your diet.
That's right. They were eating black flour for us to eat.
And who gave you that black flour?
The welfare.
The welfare people.
That's right.
And they that's as good as you got. And they felt that was enough to sustain.
Yeah, certain so
fam-
many. It's supposed to last you. They give you enough for a month. And the next month you go there, they give you prunes, dried prunes and stuff.
When was this? Do you remember the years? That was before the war, correct?
They're back in the 40s, the 20s.
In the 20s. You were just a young boy.
I was old enough to know about it.
Right. Your brother, is he still alive?
He passed.
How close were you with him?
We were only us two. We were close.
All your lives you stayed together. Did he come to New York also with you?
He was. That's how I got to New York, to my brother.
He was here before you.
Yes.
Was he also in the service?
Yes.
He was.
He was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy. Did he serve in the Pacific or the Atlantic?
He didn't go and see overseas. He was only in the service in the United States. He never went over.
Let me ask you something. Seeing what you're seeing today, experiencing the World War, I'll bring that question up after. I want to take you to the time when you heard that the Americans dropped the atomic bomb,
Right.
right? Do you remember where you were, what island you were on? Were you in Manila at that time when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
In what year?
1945, August.
I was overseas.
Right.
I was over there. I was in Manila when the war ended.
Okay, so that's basically,
I was over there when
Right.
it ended the war.
and that's when America dropped the bomb on
Yes.
Japan.
Yes.
Right. What was going on in Manila that day when they heard that the war ended? Were they very jubilant in the streets?
Oh, it was a ball raised over there. We enjoyed it. But they were still fighting up in the mountains because the Jap didn't know about the war was over.
Right.
They were still fighting.
They still wanted to fight.
They were still fighting.
Were they still sending American soldiers into the mountains even though the war
they-
ended?
After I come out more, they were still fighting.
Right. And the Americans, when they went in there, they gave them a choice. The war ended, come out and surrender, and go
That's
home.
right. Yes.
And some, I'm sure, did, and some didn't want to surrender.
They didn't.
What did you think of the Japanese soldier? I mean, you heard a lot of stories. You heard the way they fought. They didn't want to surrender. What was your feeling about the Japanese soldier?
I thought that they didn't care about living or dying.
Right. I'm sure you heard a lot of talk amongst the Americans where they used racist remarks on the Japanese, and they would call them monkeys.
Yes.
Did you ever see any of the pamphlets that the military was sending to all the soldiers? You'd open it up and you'd see a Japanese soldier like a monkey in a tree. You remember seeing things
Yes,
like that?
sir.
It was the American propaganda that they had. When you saw things like that, what did it make you think when you saw that? Did it sort of remind you about the way you were not treated like a human being back home in Alabama? When you saw that not only could Americans treat black soldiers this way, but they had no regard for the enemy and they would do this kind of propaganda. Did that bother you at all?
It did.
It did bother you?
Yes, it did.
Did you make that association, being a black man, being treated, mistreated, and seeing how the Japanese were also being treated? And I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'll ask you, did it bother you? I know you said it did bother you, but America was angry. The Japanese had a surprise attack on America,
Right.
which brought you personally to Manila. You lost friends, people in your unit that were killed. Did you have any pity for these Japanese soldiers? Did you have any pity for them? Or as far as you were concerned,
No, I didn't.
you didn't?
No.
As soon as they were gone and dead, you knew you'd be going home.
Well, if it hadn't been killed them, they would have killed us.
You knew that for a fact.
I knew that was a fact.
Did
So
you-
it's something we had to do.
Right. Did you hear of any atrocities that happened to the American soldiers by the Japanese, where the Japanese killed or tortured our soldiers? Did you
Yeah.
ever hear anything like that?
Yeah.
That went around. People
Yeah.
heard those stories. Okay, so here it is. You guys were having a great time. The war ended. They signed the surrender on the Missouri, and you heard you were going home.
Yeah.
How many days or how many weeks more did you spend in Manila before you got your orders to go back home to the States?
I think about 6 or 7 months. I didn't come out more than until 46.
Okay, did you have enough points to come out?
I came out on point.
Okay, those points that you came out on, it took you till 46 to come out on that, right?
Right.
Right. So in 45 to the end of the war, you stayed on Manila.
Right.
So you never went to Japan?
No.
No. Going back home, you mentioned you went back on a troop carrier. Where did that ship bring you? Did it bring you to California?
San Francisco,
What-
California.
You remember seeing the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yes, I do. I went through it and came back through it.
Were you standing on deck when you came home?
I was. I threw money over when we came on it.
What was the feeling? What kind of feeling did you and your shipmates, the Army, the Navy had when they saw that Golden Gate Bridge?
I was cried and I was so happy to
Right.
see it.
Now, when you got home and when you landed in San Francisco, do you remember the first thing you wanted to do more than anything?
But get a decent meal.
Uh-huh.
I know what we had, canned food only overseas. Only canned food
Right. Now you had friends that you made back in Manila,
Yeah.
whether they were in the quartermasters. Those are the guys that were on the ship coming back with you,
Yeah.
or whoever came back with the same amount of points. Did you guys stay together once you got off the ship? Did you actually get off that ship? You had your packs with you, and you said, "Okay, we're going to find our hotel, and we're going to raise hay here in the town." Is that what you guys did, or how much R&R did you have once you got off in San Francisco?
They taken us straight to the base. They had a camp there
Well, where was the
in
camp?
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
They had buses to take us from San Francisco, where we landed, to Los Angeles, California, to the camp.
Right.
It's a camp that was in Los Angeles.
Right. Now, tell me, when you're coming off that ship, were there a lot of people there greeting?
Oh my God, yes, sir.
Now, being from Alabama, I'm sure it would have been very difficult for somebody from Alabama to come to San Francisco to meet you.
No, wasn't nobody. If I did, I don't know about it.
Right. But you got off the ship, and of course, you know, you saw women running over to soldiers, parents going to kiss their sons and their daughters, and here you are, standing there, and there was nobody there to hug you or kiss you.
His people made kiss me and hug me just like I was part of the family.
That's beautiful.
Yes, they
And
did.
and were they white and black people?
All color.
Okay. How'd that make you feel?
Felt good.
Did you think at that moment maybe things really changed?
I knew it had changed.
Right. You felt something had changed.
I could feel it.
So now you went back to your base in Los Angeles. You're back on your base.
Right.
How long were you on that base? Did you have? Well, let me ask you. While you were on that base, when you went back, war is over. Did you get any R&R time to leave the base to go?
They
into
gave
town?
us passes to go from Los Angeles to San Francisco. We went to visit the muse where they make pictures and things in Hollywood. You know, they give you so many hours
Right.
to stay weekends.
Do
They
you
give you a pass.
right now you stayed in your uniform, right, when you went on the
I
town?
had my uniforms all when I brought them home. They just got burned. I had a whole duffel bag of the army stuff, caps, uniforms, everything,
So-
boots.
So tell me, when you went into Los Angeles, you're wearing your uniform. People in the streets greeted you, thanked you for your service.
Yes, they did.
Tell me about when you went to Hollywood. How did they treat you there?
They treated us nice, showing us around.
You were
How
hero-
they make movies and things. I enjoyed.
You were heroes. You were heroes, right? And
That's right.
And you felt that people were grateful for what
That's
you
it.
and the rest of the men did
Yes, sir.
during the war. So now you're back in L.A., back on the base. How much time did you spend before they said, okay, you made it, you're done, you can go home now? How long were you on the base in Los Angeles, or did you go to another base after that?
No, we come straight home
From Los Angeles?
from Los Angeles.
So you spent only, what, a few days, a few weeks in Los Angeles?
We stayed there about 3 or 4 weeks.
And then you got your papers, your discharge to go home. And
No, we were discharged in Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
okay, so you ended up going from
California to Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Shelby,
That's why
Mississippi.
we were discharged.
Right. Now everybody that came off the ship.
Now, I don't know of everybody, but a certain,
No.
I know it, that's why I was discharged.
Right.
Quite a few veterans.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that people that got off the ships, they went all over the country.
Yes, sir.
You, because
Different
living in
places.
the South, Shelby, Mississippi was the
That's
closest
why the
place.
one from the South was discharged, Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Okay, so you got to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. How much time did you spend there?
About a couple of weeks after.
A couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks.
Now, this is the question. You're home, closer to home anyway. You're in Mississippi. You got R&R while you were in Shelby? Did they give you leave where you could get off the base on weekends or whatever? Did they give you leave at that time?
Yes.
Okay, so now you went into town and you wanted to go have a good meal, something different than what you got on the base. And you went either by yourself or you always went with friends? Is that how you went into town? You went
Yes.
together as a group? What happened? Did you see that same segregation, the same?
I did not. It was a lot different then.
So in Shelby, Mississippi, you could have gone into a restaurant, walk right through that front door. You could use the same bathroom as the white people could, or did they still separate that?
The same. Used the same bathroom they used.
Wow, that's in, and
That
that's
was different.
that's 1946.
1946.
And the townspeople in Shelby, they treated you with respect that a soldier should be treated with.
They treated us to a lot better than they did. It wasn't perfect, but it was much better.
You felt it was better.
Yes, I felt it was much better than it was when I went in the Army.
Okay. Any incidences that you may have had while you were in Shelby, Mississippi? Any, of the men, whether they were the black soldiers, have any instances with the people in Shelby, the white folks there, the older generation?
No.
No. After Shelby, Mississippi, where did you go?
Before I come home,
Yeah, did you go home from
I
Shelby?
came home from there.
And where was
I was
home?
discharged and I come home.
And where was home? Where was home? That you
Tallis, Alabama.
Tallis, Alabama. Now, what were
Right.
you coming home to? Who was there for you?
My wife.
I didn't know you got married. When did you
I
get
was
married?
married 6 months before I went in the Army.
You were holding back on me. That's a secret. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was married 6 months before I went in the Army.
Uh-huh. And the whole time, did you write letters back and forth to your wife? Did you write to each other? Did she write to you more than you wrote to her?
She got a chance to visit me once before I went overseas.
Do you remember where that was?
Arizona.
Arizona. What was Mrs. Serling's first name? First and middle name?
Well, my wife,
Yes.
Gertrude Cox.
Gertrude Cox.
Yeah,
And where was she originally from?
Tallis, Alabama.
Tallis, Alabama.
Yes.
So did she still have her folks? Were they alive?
No.
No, they had gone.
All
So
gone.
you came home and you didn't have any children while you were overseas?
One.
One. So you never
She
saw.
was pregnant 6 months when I went in the Army.
Who was she pregnant with? Which child was she pregnant with?
Who was she pregnant with?
Yeah, which your son or your
The
daughter?
daughter.
Which daughter?
Uh,
What was her name? You can say about.
Reba.
Oh, Reba.
Reba.
Reba. She was the oldest daughter, obviously.
Yeah,
she was the
was
first
born
child.
6 months after I was in the Army.
Right. Did your wife send you a picture of her? Did you get a picture?
She brought her to visit me.
Oh, okay. So you were still home. You didn't go
I was
overseas.
still
yet.
in the camp then.
How did you feel seeing your little girl?
I felt good.
You felt good, huh?
Yes,
To knowing you have a little girl.
yes.
And
They let me come home when she was born.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when she was born. They gave me a pass, sick leave pass to come home to be there with her.
tell me about Reba. Is she still with us?
She sees.
Oh, she's deceased. I'm
She
sorry.
sees.
Well, does she have children? Did she have children?
Yes,
Your grandsons, granddaughters through her?
yes. She's still living. Her daughter's still living.
Okay. And no grandsons?
Her daughter had one daughter.
Oh, just one daughter. It was only one daughter.
Her daughter
Okay.
had one child.
Very nice. And where she live these days?
Well, she lived.
Yeah.
She lived it in New York.
Okay. Right. And you have a son?
I have a gang of 'em.
You have a gang of them. How many boys? How many boys in the family?
4 boys and 3 girls.
Tell me about the boys. What are their names? The names of your sons.
Cornell, Robert Jr., Cornell, Robert,
Is Robert the one in Texas?
no, he's in Alabama.
He's in Alabama. So who went to Texas now? Which
Cornell.
Cornell?
He's in Texas.
Oh, he's in Texas. And
He the
who,
one living
in
in
Huntington.
Huntington.
Right. Now who else are there? Who are the other two boys?
One deceased, Willie Lee.
Willie Lee's deceased?
Yes, sir.
And the other one?
I don't know about the other one.
I didn't have but 3.
Oh, okay.
3
three.
sons.
I
And-
made a mistake. It's
okay.
only three.
All
I had
right.
3 sons.
And the two daughters. One is Ruby.
Ruby,
Oh, wait,
Ruby,
Ruby.
actually, Reba, Ruby, Shirley, Alberta.
Uh-huh. Those are 4 girls. And one Reba is no longer with us, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you get to see your daughters much?
no.
No. Grandchildren. Who's your favorite grandchild?
That one there.
That one there. Okay, let me see that one over there. Come over here and give Grandpa a big kiss. Come over here and give Grandpa a big kiss. I want to know who they're making a fuss about here.
Oh my gosh.
And what's this granddaughter's name?
My name is Angela.
Hi, Angela. And is he? I guess he's got to be your favorite grandpa. Huh?
He is.
So what do you got for grandpa?
I have a big kiss for him.
Wow.
I love you, Granddad.
I love you too.
Are you proud of your grandfather?
I sure am.
You are, huh? And your mom's name?
My mom's is Ruby.
Ruby, and Ruby's here with us today too, huh?
Yes, she is.
Ruby, can you come up here and get behind Grandpa? I mean Dad, excuse me. Get behind Dad. Okay, now I got all three of you in this story. So, Ruby, how about a big kiss for Dad? That's beautiful, that's beautiful. I want to ask everyone who's in a picture, I want to ask you about your grandfather and your father. And let me ask you first, the granddaughter, what is so special about Grandpa?
What's special about my grandfather is that he's still alive. He's 94 years old. It's amazing.
It is, and what do you attribute that good health to and still being with us?
I don't know, but I want his secret.
You want to know the secret, huh?
Yes, I do.
Now, do you have any children?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay. Are there any great-grandchildren in the family?
You gonna answer that?
Yes.
Yes. Ruby, tell me about Dad. What's so special about Dad to you?
The specialty is to me, is his longevity
Uh-huh.
and his ability to survive no matter what. He's a strong fighter, and I can see that. And I just hoping that I'm inheriting his longevity.
Tell me about growing up with Dad. This man gave you the life you have today in terms of your success and what you've accomplished. A lot of that is owed to your dad and mom, I would imagine.
Yes, predominantly to my mother, and the values she instilled in us, and the respect for others, and to treat others right, do unto others as you have them do unto you. And the fact that I'm able to be retired and to be able to take care of my dad at this point is just overwhelming for me. I really, really appreciate the good Lord above allowing me to be there with him, to take care of him and to see after him.
I think that's beautiful. I want to ask you, and I want to tell you that what we're doing now is a story of an American veteran, not just any veteran, but a black veteran who fought and served our country with distinction and who's made America better for what he and many Americans did, those who didn't come home and those who are home today, and when he came home, to go on to have a productive life, a beautiful family that's loving and caring. We are going to present this for public media, for people to share, to hear your father's story. How do you feel about this program, and how do you feel about having your dad share his story so people know what he did as an American serviceman?
It's very enlightening, first of all, and to know that he overcame so many obstacles, and how he's feeling right now, how proud he is just to be able to tell his story. It's very hard, and what he had to go through, and it drove me to tears just sitting listening to him. It really touched my heart, and I couldn't help but break down. But to know that he's still overcoming a lot of obstacles, and the strength he has just to fight to be here for this interview, and how proud I am to be here alongside him, with him, and for him. I really appreciate you for interviewing him and hearing his story, and I'm just so happy that other people will be able to share in this story and to see it from firsthand.
I want to tell you that it's an honor for me to be here with your father. And I interview a lot of great men and with great families. But as you know, when I first met you in Amityville, and you told me about the story that the house that Dad lived in burnt down and all his decorations in the service were destroyed. And I was very happy to try to help to bring those decorations back home to him. And I understand you brought that with you today.
Yes, sir.
Can you give it to Dad, and Dad can hold that for
Let me
us?
get it.
Thanks to you, we got in touch with the
The local senator
Yes,
or
sir.
congressman in your area?
Congressman
Yeah.
Bradley Burns in Mobile, Alabama.
In Mobile, Alabama. And,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Burns made sure that Dad got these
Yes, sir.
medals that he
He
deserved.
worked diligently and he kept in touch to let him know it was on the way.
Do you know that there are many soldiers, just like your father, who either lost their medals, if they were destroyed or in a move, they disappeared, something happened somewhere, or where someone had children that were young at that time, and what the children did was they wanted to play soldier. So they put it on their shirts and they went to school with it, and then somebody loved that medal and unfortunately maybe came home without that medal that Dad gave him. And these are very precious. This is an American hero.
Yes, sir.
And his decorations, fought in the Pacific, served in the 92nd Division, Buffalo Division, and he is really a true hero for us. I can't thank you enough for driving all the way from Alabama to get here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I-
We're
I-
quite honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's
It
my
was
pleasure.
well worth it just
It's-
to please my father.
Right.
That gave him the strength, just knowing he's going to be heard. It gave him the strength to come up those many, many miles just to get here.
Yeah.
He was determined to get here, and here he is. Thank God.
I want to correct myself. I said Alabama. You came from Alabama, Louisiana.
Alabama.
I was from Alabama. Good. I got that
Mount
right.
Vernon, Alabama.
Right. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say something to our President and First Lady, Michelle, and President Barack Obama. I'd like you to tell them a wish that you have and a wish that your father has. Would you tell us what you would like?
Okay, to President Barack Obama and his wife, First Lady Michelle Obama, this is my father, Robert Lee Serling. He served in World War II. His wish is to meet you firsthand before it's too late. If it's any way possible that he can meet and greet you and shake your hand, that's all he wants to do. And I just want to be alive so that he can be honored to see you, because it would mean everything to, I'm sorry. It would mean everything to him if he could just meet you and shake your hand, please, sir. We would appreciate it. We thank you so much in advance.
I want to say, meeting the President myself, having the honor to shake the President's hand during the 70th anniversary in Normandy, when he walked the gauntlet, as I refer to it, and many of the dignitaries were standing there. I had the honor to be in that front line. And when President Obama came up, I took his hand, and I shook his hand with my right hand, of course, and my left hand went over his right hand, and security took a look at me, but the guy in charge of security knew me. And I had an opportunity to talk to the President, and I must say, he's a handsome man. And not only is he handsome, but his hands are very smooth. So he's got a good job, and I can say that I asked him not to forget our veterans. And he looked me in the eye and he said to me, I won't. And I was very fortunate to meet him, and I know that the President, if he can, and he can find the time, and if he will see your father and see you and honor him that way, because it were men like him that served in the army at a time when the situation with segregation in this country, okay, and the way our black soldier was treated, okay, and what they had to overcome. It's his work, his sacrifice, along with the many other, not only black soldiers, but the white soldiers, okay, that enabled our country to elect a black president and have a first black president in the White House and the First Lady, Michelle Obama. Again, I want to thank you and the family for coming here all the way to New York at the American Army Museum located in Bethpage, New York. Dad got to see the truck that he rode around in during World War II.
Yes, sir.
And Dad, who made that truck? Do you remember what brand truck that was? Was that a Dodge out there?
I think it was.
What size truck was that?
4x4.
4x4?
Yes.
Was that considered a 2.5 ton?
2.5. 4x4, 2.5.
4.5, 4x4.
Yes,
And with
2.5 ton.
you were the lifeline for those soldiers
Yes.
up on the front line.
Yes, sir.
You brought them the supplies.
And on the front line brought them food.
Right. And not only that, you brought the men the ammo. And how many lives you saved by what you did. Everybody played a part. Whether
Yes, sir.
you put food in their stomach or ammo in their guns.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Nobody will know how many lives were saved by men like yourself.
That's right.
I want to thank you very much. You have anything to say?
I just want to say, I want to thank you for everything you did for me. You did so much for me. So much happened to me. Hadn't it been for you, it never would have happened.
Yes.
In Mobile, people recognize me from what you did for me and the pictures you made of me at the Veteran Parade. They just honor me there and they talked about you and they said it comes so far with me. They give me stuff. They do so much for me in Mobile. They really do. The mayor there. Even the congressman said, anything I need, he wrote a letter, said, don't hesitate to call him on account of what you did here in Amityville the 4th of July. You really started things for me, and I think I'm happy. And you're one of the best persons I met since I've been out of the Army. God bless you.
I can't. I've never received a compliment that was so
I'm
wonderful
speaking
and
this
charming.
from my heart, actually, what happened. I'm telling you just what happened to me since you got it started.
Yes,
I,
sir.
you know, I do it all again, and it's my pleasure to do it for you and all the veterans that I meet.
Thank you.
I select my veterans as they come in the door,
Thank you.
okay? And you walked into my life that day at the Amityville Parade, and I'm so happy and I'm so blessed by that, and I'm enriched. You enriched my life and all those that will view this video.
Thank you.
To understand. This video wasn't intended to offend a white soldier or a black soldier. It was just to tell the truth of what America was all about, and that America today is, as you said yourself, a better place, and we have to continue to make it better. Everybody should have equal opportunity
Thank
here
you.
in this country. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time, Mr. Serling, and I want to thank the Serling family, Ruby,
You're welcome.
and your beautiful granddaughter for being here today. And if there's anything I can do, I will do my best to get it done.
God bless you.
And we start on that project tomorrow,
Yes.
getting things done.
Yes, sir.
Again, I want to thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having
Having
us.
us.
It's my honor, it's my pleasure. Okay? And I look forward to many more veterans coming up and telling us the story the way you did. Thank you again.
Thank you.
On behalf of the armed forces, the men and women that serve this country, wherever they may be, I would like to thank you on behalf of them for telling us your story.
Thank you, sir. For you, wasn't doing anything, man. They just give me stuff. I go in place to eat.
Right.
I don't have to pay for it.
I'm so proud that
They
America.
pay for it for me. I just do so much for me. The church loved me all over. I'm a happy person.
Yeah. You know, I don't like using the word hero.
I'm happy.
I was going to say, I don't usually like using the word hero because you are more than a hero. A hero doesn't really describe you for who you are. You know, you are a man who served the country, and when you were called up, you did your duty. And young people who do watch this should learn from that there is a bigger responsibility than doing something because you have to do it. You did it out of your heart, and you were proud of your country. And the reasons you gave earlier about wanting to come home to a better America,
that's right,
is something that all young men and women should understand, especially the American black youth. They have to understand what you fought for and what you hope for. It is their job to carry the torch.
I fought so this country be free. We'd be free in this country. I fought for it. I know I wasn't fighting for nothing else. That's why I did it.
Everyone had their battles to fight, and you had your battle to fight. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Serling.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And thank God for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
You said you remember this shovel?
That's what we used. Packs we had. Backpacks. That's it. We used to dig foxhole with that to get in.
You remember seeing a vehicle like this?
Yeah, I remember seeing them. They was in there.
Brings back memories, doesn't it?
Vivian. Yes, sir. This year really bringing back memories. Every bit of it.
I be a man and gone. I be a man and
Be in the
gone.
place to see all of
He
this.
left the county for me, had his shackles on.
Something I never forget. Never forget this.
Now don't you call my name. Now don't you call my name.
Robert, watch your back here because there's barbed wire here. Actually, it's not. I thought it was. It's made out of rubber. But it's a very good representation. Yeah, this is the big stuff that they're using in Iraq, Afghanistan. Take a look at this baby up here. This tank.
That time you laughed down low. I beg you all night long, baby, please.
Because I never think I'd see it again. God bless me to see it.
You recognize that up there, Robert? What's coming in right now? That truck coming in right there with the A12 on it. That remind you of anything?
That reminds me of the one I drove in the quartermaster
Where was that, in Manila?
in Manila. Yeah, I drove that same truck in Manila. That's it. First time I've seen something like this since I've been out the war. I'm glad I came here.
Every year, every kid when they run it, it's like they've never run it before.
I love this. This is something nice. getting a chance to see something, Ruby, I never thought I'd see. Oh my God. I love what I see today.
Thank you for making that big trip from Alabama to come see me.
It was every bit of it, and some. Lord bless me to see what I've been in before. So much I'm seeing before I die. Lord's been good to me. I hope I live to see some of this again.
I got a gypsy woman giving me advice. I got a gypsy woman giving me advice. I got a whole lot of tricks keeping here on ice. Got my mojo, 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 just don't hold it. Play it again. Got my mojo, 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 just don't hold it on. Got my mojo, 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 just don't wake on you. They say, Ruby, you're like a dream, not always what you seem. And though my heart may break when I awake, let it be so. I only know, Ruby, it's you. They say, Ruby, you're like a song. You just don't know right from wrong. And in your eyes I see heartaches for me. Right from the start, who stole my heart? Ruby, it's you. I hear your voice, and I must come to you. I have no choice, so what else can I do? They say, Ruby, you're like a flame.
Into my life you came, and though I should be well, still I just don't care. You thrill me so, I only know, Ruby, it's you. Like a flame, into my life you came, and though I should be well, still I don't care. You thrill me so, I only know, Ruby, it's you.
She's the